Okay, good morning, everybody. Andrea's confirmed that the live streaming has now started, so let me welcome you to this licensing subcommittee hearing. Present, we have myself, Councillor Andrew Harvey, Chair of the panel, along with Councillors Liz Harvey and Jeanette Stockley, who are the panel members. We also have Councillor Peter Campbell, who is here as our reserve, who's completing his training today. Also in attendance are Anton Morden, Licensing Officer, Peter Key, our Legal Advisor, and Andrea James, Democratic Services Officer. Some housekeeping before we start. There's no fire alarm planned for today, but should the alarm sound, please leave via the nearest available emergency exit, just behind you, and meet at the Tower House car park. For guidance on making your own recordings of the meeting, please see the notices in the agenda. I'd like to remind everyone present that the meeting is being filmed and made available to view in live and archive form via the Council's website. If you're seated in the public gallery, which I don't think anybody is, it's possible the cameras may capture your image. If you wish to avoid being filmed, it's recommended you make a member of staff aware who can direct you where to sit. Do we have any apologies for absence, Andrea?
No apologies for absence, Chair.
And any substitute councillors?
No, no substitutes.
Any declarations of interest? Nothing beforehand. Anything today from you? No, thank you. To agree the minutes of the meeting held on the 12th of November and the 10th of December and the 11th of February that you've all had in the agenda packs. Are we happy to accept those? Okay, they're agreed by general assent. Order of business for today is on page 25 of the agenda, and this is what we will be following. We're here for an application under the Licensing Act 2003, which is a premises licence for the Arches, Oxford Street, Whitstable, CT5 1DA. In addition to the panel here and the Canterbury City Council staff, the following people are entitled to speak at this hearing. That's the applicant, Mr. Etherington, the agent, Mr. Wakeham, and any responsible authorities, which is Danielle Rolfe from Kent Police, and Susan Geneva from Canterbury Licensing Enforcement. We also have some other persons who are registered to speak beforehand, who are Brian Underhill, John Harvey, who is with us, Linda Fairbairn, Nikki and Ray Davis, and Stuart Autumn. Okay, so we'll follow the order of business on page 25, which is over to Anton, the licensing officer, who will introduce the application.
Thank you, Chair. This is an application in respect of the Arches, Oxford Street, Whitstable. It is for the grant of a premises licence in accordance with Section 17 of the Licensing Act. The applicant is the Arches Club LLP, and I can advise everybody present that the committee members, the legal officer and myself visited the premises this morning. That is purely to look at the premises layout and the surrounding area. There has been no discussion about the merits or details of the application with any other person. The report has been advertised in accordance with the regulations and law and has been posted on the council's website. I think when it comes to the applicant's presentation, it may help at the beginning, sir, for an update to see if there are any agreed proposals before launching into the application. And unless you have any questions, there is nothing to add to the report.
Lovely, thank you, Mr. Warden. Over to you then, Mr. Etherington, to present your application, please. You would.
Sorry, I believe Mr. Wakeman's going to speak on my behalf.
It's fine, yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. Members, this application is for a premises licence for a pool and darts club and not an alcohol-led bar. The primary use of the premises is structured recreational activity with alcohol only incidental to that main function, And that distinction is important because Canterbury's policy recognises that clubs and other non-alcohol-led premises generally present a lower licensing risk than venues whose business model is centred on the sale of alcohol. The operating model will be managed through controlled opening hours, supervised use of the premises, and responsible alcohol sales only in support of the club activity. So the application promotes the licensing objectives without adding to the concerns typically associated with vertical drinking venues. The Council's policy also supports a more diverse and less alcohol-led evening economy, which this premises would provide in practice. Turning to the particulars of application, which are published on Canterbury's website, I think it's quite important to bring to your attention that the opening hours, since originally conceived, have actually been revised in collaboration with the licensing enforcement officer. If I may take you through those, because they're essentially what's driven a number of the objections. The hours that the premises would be open to the public have been revised. They're going to be, opening hours will be Sunday to Thursday from 10 until 23:30 hours, and Friday and Saturday from 10 till midnight. The supply of alcohol on premises only would now be Sunday to Thursday from 11 a.m, not 10 a.m, to 2300 hours, and Friday and Saturday from 11 to 23:30. The club will be operating a membership scheme. It's already commissioned an EPOS system, and that will actually provide a clear identity of people who will join the club as members and those who may be guests. It's essentially a voluntary scheme, but it's something that Mr. Everton wishes to do to actually manage the premises properly. There's also going to be a CCTV system actually installed in the whole area outside of the premises, which was previously referred to as the yard, and also within the premises. Are there any questions?
Could I ask a question?
Yeah.
In terms of the membership age, is there a 16, 18 in terms of? Oh, right.
Carry on to the end if that's okay.
I think I've said all I need to say for the moment, if that's okay, sir.
Right, okay. Yeah, I'll just hand it over to the panel and see if you have any questions here.
When people wish to sign up for membership, will you be taking ID
Yes,
from them?
photographic ID.
Okay. Right,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. The CCTV, will be outside too. You said just now, didn't you?
Yes.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Could you tell me, will the CCTV be operational before you plan to open the club?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much.
The bar, will that be open to walk-in people, or is it just for people playing pool and darts that are members?
It'll be open to members. If you want to come in, then you will be a guest. But membership is not a condition of entry. You may want to come in for a coffee or something like that, and so on and so forth.
Okay. So you are serving tea and coffee as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. You got anything else?
Sorry, got a little list here. So looking at your emergency escape door on the side of the building there, will that be locked normally? Will you be able to access that doorway with the dartboard right next door was one of my concerns.
Yes.
You would be able to.
Yes.
Okay. And the other door, where it will be opposite your outside gate,
Yes.
would that be locked normally?
No.
So that's a potential second entrance. People could come in off the side road through that gate and into the premises through the second entrance.
Well, that's been monitored with CCTV.
Okay, so my question then is, will there be somebody there at the door to take membership, for example, to see their membership card? Or is it free for anyone just to walk in and walk out?
No, you'd be coming in through the main entrance.
Can you press the
Sorry.
button for the microphone, otherwise it won't be picked.
Sorry. Yes, no, you'd be using the main entrance. That's for exit only. But I think that's on the plan as a fire exit, so it can't be kept locked.
It can't be kept locked. So, but then potentially somebody could just walk in that way as well.
No, it's a fire exit.
It's a fire exit.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a little confused because you were saying at the premises that people could congregate outside with their drinks. They wanted to go outside in that area.
Yes.
Yes. So that door must be accessible to come and go.
Yes.
And the gates will be locked or not?
No.
No. So somebody could come in through the gate, through that entrance into the building. That's my question.
Yes, well, that will be monitored with the CCTV.
Just with CCTV. Okay. So somebody's monitoring the CCTV all the time. Are they?
Well, not all the time, no.
Not all the time. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for that, Mr. Etherington. So the gate to the sideway obviously can't be locked because that's an emergency access. So there is a potential that someone could walk through that gate and then be in that outdoor yard if you've got people out there socialising anyway. Am I correct in thinking that?
Yes.
There's no physical
Yeah.
thing stopping. You've also got the other entrance. The main entrance is the one onto Oxford Street, isn't it? The double doors.
Yes.
And then you've got another entrance in Belmont Road.
Yes.
So that'll be an option, would it, for people to come in that way as well? That will just be an emergency exit as
Yes.
well?
Yeah.
Okay. And so with the membership, what you're proposing is they won't need to be a member to come in. Anybody can come in. When you say a guest, they don't actually have to be with a member to get in. Is that what the proposal is?
You'll be a guest of a member, or you'll be, exceptions if there's like from a visiting pool team or affiliation or that sort of thing. So it's not just a general walk-in,
Okay. And your the primary use, as you say, sorry, did you want to say something else, Mr. Wakeman?
Yes, the membership relates to the playing of pool and darts. Nobody can walk in off the street and play pool or darts without being a member. But this is a voluntary scheme that's being operated. They don't want anyone just walk. These are very expensive professional pool tables. So it's important that, people are responsible who are going to be playing on them, as opposed to something you might find in an amusement arcade.
Sure. Okay. Appreciate that. You're saying that the primary use is the structured recreation, that it is the playing of pool and
Yes.
darts, etc. Are there any proposals for ensuring that remains that case? For example, keeping those tables in the positions they were in when we saw them today, so it doesn't then just become an open space and a bar.
Oh yes, there's no intention of it being a bar. It's strictly for pool and dart. It's strictly a leisure venue, for sporting leisure venue. Yes.
Yeah. Do you have any suggestions for a condition perhaps that might ensure that stays the same over time?
We don't think that's necessary. We certainly can't put members club in the title of the venue because it has implications. It has legal implications, particularly in respect of taxation. I think Mr. Etherington and the licensing officer have had some discussion along that path, and it's complicated. So it's a scheme that's going to be implemented, but it's a voluntary one.
Yeah, I think my concern on that was that it could just become another open space and another bar if you've got no compulsory membership requirement. The tables could be moved back at any time, and then it becomes an open area.
Remove the tables too.
Pardon? No. I understand, but that's clearly not the intention. There'd be no point in going to this expenditure if all you wanted to do was open another bar in Whitstable. Mr. Etherington it's a passion of his. He's been playing this game for about 15 years. He saw a business opportunity with the contacts he's built up over that time, and that's the reason for opening this particular venue.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate that. If the panel were to think it necessary to impose a condition that the tables remain in place, then presumably you wouldn't have any objection to that.
Well, within reason, if they want to be moved 6 foot or something, but no, primarily, it's there as a pool and darts venue.
Okay, thank you. Do you have another question, Councillor Stockley?
Thank you very much. Just to clarify, so are you acting, will you be there all the time? Are you running the place, or are you a management company, for example, who would have groups come and book and they will run it for the duration they're there for a tournament or something?
No, it's being run by Mr. Etherington with 2 other staff initially. There are arrangements in place for league teams to come and play. There's all sorts of discussions going on at the moment, but nothing can be formalised until everything's properly set up. But there will be league games hosted at the venue, but they will be run by Mr. Etherington. Yeah.
Thank you. So three members of staff, if you like, on at all times.
I don't know exactly what the arrangement is, but there's three members of staff initially recruited. There may be more required in future, or we don't know at this point in time because we've not operated the model quite yet.
Thank you very much.
Are you going to be charging for membership?
But that's the general idea.
Okay, because now this obviously is a little bit invasive, and obviously it's your business, but I've just been trying to do some figures, and you've got your tables. I don't know how much you're charging per hour or whatever, and the dartboards, I don't know how much you're charging per hour, but there's obviously going to be an upper limit if they was in use full time every day. There's an upper limit, and I know you said here that the business is based on the pool and darts, but I can't see in my head that it's going to be a massive viable business just based on the money you're taking on the pool and darts to pay for wages, tax, mortgages, rent, whatever. So I think, I mean, almost without the bar, you probably, to earn some more money, it probably wouldn't be a viable business.
Well,
And I'm sure you've done your figures. It's
Yes.
obviously not he's a businessman. But do you understand what I'm saying? I don't know how much you're charging.
There are other commercial premises in the Canterbury area. There's Cousins in St George's Place. Different type of venue. They're open from midday till about 2-3 in the morning. There's also the East Station Club, which is near Canterbury East Station, or right by Canterbury East Station. They're both pool clubs, essentially. They've been there for some years. They're both viable.
But I'm just wondering have they not got a lot more tables?
They may have more tables, but their costs may be higher. I don't know, but the business model that we're working with, it does require, it was based on a 14-hour day, which is why it's important that we've got opening times. Plan to actually not just hire tables out, but also actually provide coaching and tuition, which is why it's being opened in the morning. The whole idea is to actually create a more family-oriented centre rather than a late-night venue. And that's where we're hoping to actually generate revenue.
So couldn't it be, I mean, I know some residents have expressed concerns about serving alcohol earlier on, but perhaps there could be some consideration to the alcohol's not served until slightly later.
Well, that's correct. That's already been...
it's in there.
Yeah, it's already been done. Sorry, let me clarify. Originally, when Mr. Etherington actually set out on this journey, he looked at all of the local business establishments, and he merely based his hours in terms of alcohol around theirs. And you'd be quite surprised if you actually look at the table in the back of where are we? Visit. On page 29, particulars of application. This is where he initially actually based his hours on. And when you look at some of these venues, for example, Whitstable Town Football Club, sale and supply of alcohol from 10 in the morning till 1 a.m. The Peter Cushing, 9:30 to 2300. There are many others in here, but he originally actually set out with the idea of the opening time and the licensing hours just simply being the same. But after discussion with the licensing officer, all of those have been revised now. The opening times still remain very much the same for the reason of being able to actually play the sport and introduce families into the venue at 10 a.m. in the morning. But the supply of alcohol doesn't start until 11 o'clock.
Okay, just stop you there if I can, Mr. Wakeham. I think Anton Borden would like to have a question.
It's really just a point of clarification, and the schedule is very helpful because it shows what's in the area. But the point you're making cannot be relied upon with those late night venues, because all of those premises had a license before the core hours policy was introduced. So if they applied now, they would have to show there would be no impact on the licensing objectives. The starting point would be they're outside of core hours. So as helpful as that schedule is, it's not relevant because it's pre-core hours.
Yes. No, I understand that. But what I wanted to start out with is basically showing how Mr. Etherington initially actually forecast the hours that he was going to be want to sell alcohol from. But that's now been revised, as it shows on the second page of this document. Alcohol sales won't start until 11 a.m.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Stockley has another question.
Thank you. Excuse me. Is there a maximum number of people that can come in? Do you have a lid on it, kind of thing?
We don't have a specific number, but the space very much limits things, and the number of tables. We'd obviously want to ensure that there's adequate space for people to play the activities, and of course, if people come in and from our perspective, it's reasonably full, then we basically turn people away.
I see. Okay. Thank
You'll
you very
be able
much.
to
So-
book in advance, of course, not just walking off the street.
Oh, you would.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So if the tables and chairs were filled with people drinking coffee and alcohol, whatever they're drinking, but some of the pool tables were empty, you'd still take people in because the pool table's empty.
Primarily, it's playing pool. Yes, pool and darts. It's important those tables are kept filled
Yeah.
throughout the day.
Thank you very much.
Are there any more questions from the panel?
Yeah, I've just got one. What on maybe specifically Friday and Saturday nights? Is there any considerations to have any security on the door?
Not at this point in time. It's not the sort of venue that we're planning to actually operate. It's supposed to be more of a family sort of venue, a friendly venue where people can come and feel safe and enjoy the game.
Okay, I understand that. I only asked because I used to play a lot of pool. I
Uh-huh.
was sort of semi-pro going on in the women's league,
Mhm.
and some of the places I went to, and they were admittedly a lot more like pub venues, but they still had a few tables there,
Mm.
and there used to be a few breakouts, especially over games, leagues, and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah.
But I presume, really, going into it, everyone's got to think that this is a place for playing pool and darts and not a venue that's going to go into
Exactly.
somewhere
It's
like
not.
that.
Yeah.
But obviously, you'd need to have considerations that might happen. You know, you might find there's a few unruly people coming in, and you
And then
might
they
need
will
that.
be barred from using the premises.
Okay.
That was the
That's good.
reason for. Before speaking with the licensing officer, Mr. Etherington already had the system set up. I have some of the information here from the company. They're actually called MEMSEC EPOS, and it's a very comprehensive system for managing this sort of venue.
Okay. All right.
I can show you afterwards if you want.
Thank you. Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any further questions, so now we have an opportunity for the responsible authorities to ask questions, which would be, in this case, well, Anton as well, and Susan. Anton first.
Please, so they're just points of clarification, because I don't think we've bottomed out the situation from the questions posed already. The first thing, because one of the things the licensing authority has to do is we wish you well in your business if you are granted a license, but we have to look at the long term of that premises, and we know it's had a lot of different uses in the past. So firstly, the purpose of the questions relating to the pool tables being a condition of being in situ when alcohol is being sold, it prevents in the future a new premises license holder coming in, taking out the tables and having a stand-up bar.
Right.
That's the purpose of the question, and whether you would be willing to consider a condition, because if it does move on for any reason, may win the lottery, not need to do it anymore, but it means that new person can't come in and just have a bar, which that would be very amenable to being.
Yeah.
So that was the purpose of that question, and that's why you was asked if you'd be willing to have a condition.
Can I,
Strictly speaking, if you got the license, you could take the tables out tomorrow.
well, there would be no problem with that. The only reason I mentioned within reason is that perhaps we might want to fit some more tables in and actually
Well,
or change the situation so we have more dartboard lanes than pool tables.
that's
So,
quite possible.
That
would be-
obviously we don't want to get in a situation where we have to keep coming back to the committee if we want to move a table.
You wouldn't have to do that because you can do it by way of minor variation. But from the visit this morning, you're pretty much at the maximum. You're not going to be able to fit many more in if you wanted to,
No, what we don't, that's, well,
because you won't be able to play pool if there are any
no,
more come
no,
back.
that's right. But one thing that we are conscious of is that darts is becoming much, much more popular. And it might be, in terms of a business model, that we may want to increase the number of lanes. We don't know.
That's
at this
absolutely
juncture.
fine. That would all be done on a minor variation because it's not increasing alcohol. The other thing which I needed to bottom out is the access from that gate. Now, as it is at the moment, you only need a membership if you want to play pool or darts. If the license is granted, I as a person can turn up at the front doors and I could literally come in and have a pint. As long as I wasn't going to cause a problem, that's what the license would allow. So you've got, to all intents and purposes, a pub license. So you are restricting it in the way you're using it, which is quite clear. But with that gate, I could come in there, and my friend who's already in there goes and gets me a pint, and I can be in that premises drinking. Your monitoring by a CCTV is of little use unless the CCTV is monitored. And one of the concerns the licensing authority has is the smoking area. How many people can you get in that area? Not all of the area is for smoking. You've got tables shown on your plan. So there's an intention for people to go outside, which they will want to do on a hot day that we're coming up with, and just have a pint and a cigarette outside. So how are you going to manage that with people coming in and out of that gate? Because you're not managing it under your proposals.
Right.
I don't know if that's one of the things that the committee were trying to get to.
No.
You can go out, but you can't come in that way.
The reason for the question is we've got other similar premises in Whitstable, particularly, and looking at that area, you could comfortably get 20 to 30 people outside drinking. And if you are having league matches and tournaments, not everybody's going to be playing at once. It's going to be quite hot and cramped. People may want to, on some of the days we've had in last week or so, go outside, fresh air, and have a pint or a drink or whatever.
I must confess that this hasn't been given that level of thought. The idea of the seating outside was discussed and recommended by Sue, and we saw that wasn't because she wanted to avoid the possibility of vertical drinking. And so she introduced the notion of putting some tables and chairs out there.
Which is, we would encourage that.
Yes, and that's what's being done. So with regard to the gate, I'm afraid we didn't kind of go that far. I would need to personally go and actually look at it because I had to refresh my memory of exactly what's there. But you perhaps might have a better idea than me.
Well, that's why we visit premises. Not many committees do. And when we were standing in that smoking area and where the tables will be, there are two front doors directly opposite. And so we're looking at the whole impact of the licensing objectives of those in the vicinity. The licensing authority is not there to stop businesses, but it must be done in a neighbourly way.
Yes.
And we expect these things to be addressed in the application. That's why in the policy we have a checklist for people to use, so they don't have to think about all of these things themselves.
Mm.
With regards to those front doors, one is only a front door, the other is a door to the access to the rear of the shop that's below the flat. And I believe that the address of that other front door, the resident, has posed no concerns or objections. They're in full support of the venue.
Yes. Again, it's future proofing. We're actually assisting you because even though those people may have not objected,
But
if somebody comes along in the future and objects, then it's a valid objection.
also that's why the gate, I've made a point of saying the gate, rather than putting the gate just starting where the current panel ends and then starting with the gate, we're actually removing the panel. So we're putting the gate further down opposite the blank wall nearer the roadway as to lessen the thing. So that's what we feel we've been neighbourly in doing that. So we've made a point of not putting an access or pedestrian gate right opposite someone's front door. So it's
The
further down.
location of the gate is fine.
Yeah, okay.
It's once you're in that area, it doesn't
Yeah.
restrict how you use that area. I can come through the gate and walk all the way up to the other end where that container unit was.
Yeah.
That's a big space for people to have drinks in.
Yeah.
And I'm just
We
thinking of
will
the
be
numbers
putting-
you're hoping for tournaments.
We will be putting some screening up along the fence as well once the fence is erected, once the workmen are off site. So we do intend to screen the fence as well. Again, adding to the privacy of the neighbours and that thing. And it's also something that's not been brought up, but opposite, we've made a point of frosting the windows on the opposite as to add to the privacy.
The privacy thing is fine. I think the
Okay.
biggest problem will be noise.
Yeah.
The committee and I stood there, and we stood outside for quite a long time this morning. We were listening for the traffic
Yeah.
and how we had to increase our voices as the traffic volume increased. So there was only obviously the 6 of us. If you've got 30 people all increasing their voices, that's quite a lot. So we're just trying to make sure we look at all of the objectives, as is our duty when something comes before the committee. You're doing the right things in trying to promote the objectives, but it's a question of whether they go far enough. And I think the proposals you've put so far, your weak link today is the use of that gate, because you have to have a gate because of the emergency exit. But you are going to not be able to stop people coming in and out with your management of the gate as you've explained it.
Okay. Well,
Don't know if you have any
there's a
further questions on that, sir.
possibly we can implement a one-way system on the gate.
No, thank you for that, Mr. Warden. Yeah, that's very useful, helpful. Yeah, we now have the opportunity for the responsible authorities to question the applicant, and in that case, it's Sue Geneva, Licensing Enforcement Officer. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to start with the membership scheme, and I know it is something that we've discussed before. And I hear that it's going to be voluntary. For my part, something which is voluntary can be in place one day and not the next. It's something that you say you're going to do, you don't have to do because it's voluntary. So my question is, bearing in mind it is a voluntary scheme, how will the scheme promote the poor licensing objectives?
Sorry, in the last communication you had with Mr. Etherington, I thought that this had actually been removed, and you had accepted the explanations that had been given.
This is my opportunity to ask any questions in relation to what information you've just shared with the licensing subcommittee. So what I'm trying to extract from you is you're going to have a scheme, it's going to be voluntary. in terms of protecting those four objectives, in terms of promoting those four objectives, how does your voluntary scheme connect and fit in with the licensing objectives? Would you like a little bit longer, or shall I?
No,
continue?
sorry. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
In terms of crime and disorder, the premises will be supervised by a responsible manager or duty manager whenever open to the public. Staff will be trained in responsible alcohol sales, refusal of service, dealing with intoxicated customers, and responding to disorder. The CCTV will be installed and maintained to cover entrances, exits, the bar area, till points, and principal customer areas. The CCTV recordings will be retained for a suitable period and made available to authorised officers on request. The premises reserves the right to refuse entry or service to any person whose conduct is abusive, violent, threatening, intoxicated, disruptive, or otherwise detrimental to the safe and lawful operation of the business. The voluntary membership scheme may be used to support conduct control, booking management, safe operation of the premises. A membership may be refused, suspended, or withdrawn where necessary for the proper and lawful operation of the business. With regard to public safety, the premises will be operated in accordance with all relevant fire safety, occupancy, and emergency evacuation procedures. Staff will be trained in basic incident response, evacuation arrangements, and reporting procedures. Pool tables, dart areas, walkways, and furniture will be arranged and maintained to reduce the risk of slips, trips, and collisions. And first aid arrangements will be maintained and reviewed regularly. In terms of prevention of public nuisance, the premises will be managed so as to minimise noise, odour, litter, smoke, and disturbances to nearby occupiers. Customers will be discouraged not to congregate outside the premises, and a dispersal policy will operate at closing time to encourage orderly and quiet departure. Staff will actively monitor the immediate external area, the yard, and will intervene where groups gather or nuisance occurs, and when the yard is closed for use after 2200 hours each day. A designated external smoking area.
I think the question, Mr. Wakeham, was
Sorry.
specifically how the proposed voluntary membership scheme will meet the four criteria.
Well, it'll actually provide control and accountability. We'll know who's coming in and who's going from the premises. We'll be able to refuse membership and remove customers from the premises.
Okay, that's any more questions, Susan?
Assuming the premises licence is granted today, and thinking about the rules of your club and how it's a document that I imagine will grow and will change from time to time, is there any thought, or might you give consideration to any conditions that are agreed today? Could they be embedded into the club rules? Is that a possibility?
Perhaps you can provide an example.
So let's say, for instance, because I don't want to prejudge what the licensing subcommittee might say, but let's talk about what was called the yard and is now the outside seating area. And it is agreed that at 2200 hours, there shall be no activity outside. Could that condition find its way into your club rules to bolster, to reinforce the objectives?
Yes. Yes, we thought it would be a condition. Yeah.
But I'm thinking, in addition to it sitting on Part A, which is going to be, that's the long part of your licence where all the mandatory conditions and conditions that have been agreed today, they'll sit on there. But I just wondered if we could go one step further in that live document that Mr. Edrington has referred to in our discussions. Could the conditions, any conditions, sit in there as well? I think you're saying yes.
It's on the live document, is it not?
Sorry, which live document are you
The,
referring to?
what the today's agenda is. I thought it was in there that we'd agreed it.
Sorry, for clarification, I will explain when I speak to you when it's my turn. There's been a lot of communication between Mr. Edrington and I, and at one point he did share with me the club rules, you know, about how people are expected to behave, what the standard is, and they need
outside. I think that's what
they need to know what the rules are.
Yeah.
And I just, yeah, that's what I was after.
So you'd like in our rules, in our club rules, that the outside area is not to be used after 10 p.m. other than for smoking?
I think that would be useful, yes, and in addition to any other conditions. And of course, you don't know what the future holds, so we might see minor variations, or we might see a full variation in due course, because you want to make some changes. But if what you've told me is correct, you know, you're going to have this voluntary membership scheme, you're going to have a set of club rules, so people know what will be tolerated and what won't. And why not have the conditions on there as well?
Yeah, that the outside use after 10 p.m. That's fine, being within the club rules. But there'll also be signage up anyway saying that that's not to be used other than for smoking after that time, and obviously the signs on the tables and chairs rendered unusable within that time as well.
One more, please. I'd like to refer to page 36 of our statement of licensing policy. It's 11.13, page 36. And it says, it's only brief, in the past, qualifying clubs have had little association with crime and disorder or public nuisance. Through their membership requirements, they exert a degree of control over behaviour in and around their premises. Any relevant representations received and the availability of transport will also be matters for careful consideration. I just want to clarify that at the very start of your speech to the committee, you did touch on the club and how they operates sort of differently to say commercial premises. I just want to make it abundantly clear that yours is not a qualifying club. This is a premises license application. So there are different rules in place for qualifying clubs. There's different powers of entry, for instance, for the police and for licensing enforcement. There are sort of completely different set of rules, but they are for qualifying clubs. And because of the nature of qualifying clubs and, you know, the way they're run, the licensing authority might take a different stance in terms of how they might or might not impact on the licensing objectives. But I just wanted to clarify now that it's not a qualifying club. You're not hearing a club premises certificate. This application is for a premises license. And then just to confirm as well that there is no change to the opening hours. The hours you see before you, they're staying exactly the same, I do believe.
Okay, thank you. Did you have any response to that, Mr. Edrington? Okay. Now's the opportunity we have for other people to ask questions of the applicant. Mr. Harvey, thank you for your patience. Please ask your question.
So I just wanted to clarify, you say that your objective is to have it as a social, sports, family-centred space, but on the other hand, your revised licensing hours in terms of selling alcohol exceed the two nearest venues, which are the East Kent and the Handsome Sam. So even your revised hours for selling alcohol are longer than theirs. And given that you can arrive at your venue without having to be a member, how will yours not be a kind of spillover venue for people leaving the East Kent, which is directly over the road, or the Handsome Sam, who have earlier licensing closing hours?
I think that. Sorry. Hello there. The licensing hours for both the venues stated are actually longer than ours. It's just in their current business model, they choose to shut at a more convenient time or a less quiet time, but they're actually permitted to stay open longer. So our licensing hours are no greater than the other venues, and also both the venues you referred to are drinks-led establishments, not of a secondary nature.
But that's precisely my point. If Handsome Sam closes at 9 p.m., then ultimately that means they're stopping to selling alcohol at 9 p.m. Currently, your revised hours for a Thursday evening, you sell alcohol until 11 p.m.
Yes.
So I don't understand if it's
we're within Canterbury City Council's core hours, and
yeah.
the Handsome Sam, they could shut 6 days a week if they wanted to. That's their prerogative, but their licensed hours are longer or the same as ours. Our only slight differentiation is we're opening an hour potentially earlier on a Sunday than Canterbury City Council's core hours. Other than that, our total hours are, depending on bank holidays, 8.5 hours less than the Canterbury City Council's core hours. So Handsome Sam, if they decide to next week, we want to open the same or longer than us, that they can do, because they've already got that in place. It's just their current business model at this point in time, they choose to shut earlier. Yeah.
My objection isn't to your opening hours, it's to your hours of selling alcohol. And they contradict what you're suggesting is a sports-led leisure venue that's family friendly. The licensing hours of selling alcohol don't necessarily, to my mind, connect back to that. If the priority is to get people in playing darts and pool, and secondary to that is to get people in drinking, these revised hours seem excessive in terms of not when you're opening, just in terms of when you're selling alcohol.
But most people that would go out and play pool and darts would also enjoy a drink, and obviously, they'd be monitored. But fundamentally, doesn't go hand in hand. That if you're going out to play pool and darts, you're going to become drunk and disorderly. But if I'm open to play pool or darts till say 11 or 11:30, I'm not going to. You wouldn't want to stop serving alcohol at 9, because who's going to carry on without the availability of those refreshments? Also, I'd like to sort of make it nice. We have thought about this and considerably, and as far as I'm aware, also we're the only venue in the town that's also offering alcohol-free lager on draft, which I think is a positive impact and shows our responsibility to a social thing, and offer another alternative to either alcohol or just teas and coffees or cokes and that sort of thing, or bottled alcohol beer, which is obviously served in a lot smaller and a lot costly. So we've made a point of putting alcohol free on draft as well. So you've got the option to drink alcohol free lager as well.
Yep. Right, thank you. I think Mr. Essendon has answered the question about the hours. You will have another opportunity to speak unless you have another question for the applicant now.
Well, other than I don't feel that my point's been answered by what you've said, to be honest. These revised hours of supplying alcohol don't make any sense whatsoever compared to how you started the meeting by saying what the venue was ultimately for.
Yeah, it's something we'll give due consideration to. So if you haven't got another question on another subject, then we'll move on to Peter Key would like to make a comment as well.
I wonder if I could just confirm the hours for all the activities. Are you able to turn to page 27 in the published report, which is the licensing officer's summary of the application detail? Page 27, numbered at the top. Do you have that?
I've got the application detail with the hours open to the public and then the provision.
Yes, that. So if I could just go through these hours to, because I'll be advising the committee and I need to be absolutely certain what's being said, that the application is for hours open to the public, Monday to Thursday, 10 to 11:30 p.m. Has that changed?
No.
And Friday to Saturday, 10 to midnight? That's the same?
Yes.
And Sunday, 10 to 11:30?
Yes.
And then supply of alcohol, is that correct on that page?
These should be the amended hours that was agreed with the licensing officer.
So supply of alcohol, Monday to Thursday, what's the start time?
It's 11 o'clock. Sorry, yeah, down here, yes.
11 to 11?
Oh, yeah, amended hours, yes. Yes, sorry.
And Saturday, 11 to 11:30?
Yes.
And then indoor sporting events.
Sorry, Chris.
My apologies. Can I just clarify? Sale and supply of alcohol, Sunday to Thursday, 11 to 2300 hours, the way it's drafted, and Friday and Saturday, 11 to 23:30. Sorry, just in case you missed the Friday.
Yes, thank you. Friday and Saturday, 11 to 11:30. So it's correctly set out on page 27. And that's the result of discussions with Suganiva. Thank you. Indoor sporting events and recorded music, are they correct? You're aware that they're not regulated activities between 8 and 11, subject to certain conditions.
Just if a league or sporting event went over, we wouldn't want to stop it, so we've allowed like an extra half hour or something should something run over. But
and just to check, is it technically an indoor sporting event?
yes.
So it takes place before an audience. That the purpose is you're providing entertainment for an audience to watch.
There will be occasions when there are special events. There may be a celebrity, a pool player who people come to watch.
Okay.
So,
all right, thank you. So there's always the question of what conditions are being offered. And the application has an operating schedule which sets out all sorts of matters. And then Appendix C shows conditions agreed with the police, which relate to prevention of crime and disorder and protection of children from harm. Do you see that at page 62?
I think your page, sorry, my apologies. We don't have the same page numbers as the document on the website, so that's why we're struggling here.
Right. So it's titled Appendix C, and the line below says fire services.
Yeah. So this was the email from the police officer.
So these have been agreed with the police.
Yes.
And how do they relate to the conditions offered in the operating schedule? The published online version starts at 48, the conditions. It's section 18 of 21, licensing objectives in the application.
Section 18 of 21, licensing objectives, yes?
Yes, license. So it lists steps you're going to take. And then over the page, further steps. It's quite full. What is the connection, interrelationship between what's offered here and what's in Appendix C, agreed with the police?
I don't know. Just think the police went and reviewed this and wanted these as part of the thing. In relation to them.
What with the police, wasn't it?
Sorry, the obviously the application was sent out to PC Rolf, and then she's responded that she'd like to see with her revisions, to which we've agreed
Okay,
with
so
those.
PC Rolfs relate to prevention of crime and disorder and protection of children from harm. So if the panel decide to grant the license, those conditions will go in. But does anything remain from the operating schedule also to go in?
All right, so they're going in. Sorry. Yeah, no, these will be part of the operating schedule as well.
Right. So that part of the operating schedule dealing with crime and disorder, is that to be copied out as a condition as well as what was agreed with PC Rolf?
Is that necessary?
Sorry?
Is that necessary?
No, I'm asking what you're offering as conditions, because you've offered these conditions here.
Yes.
And then agreed 2 heads of licensing objective conditions with PC Rolf. But if you look, for example, at D, prevention of public nuisance, you say deliveries will be carried out at times not to cause public disruption. Are you still offering that? Because PC Rolf doesn't deal with that.
Oh,
Yes.
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 Sorry, yes. Yeah.
I can see.
So-
Sorry.
Yes.
So PC Rolf's conditions relating to crime and disorder and protection of children from harm completely overtake, supersede what you have put in your operating schedule. Is that right?
Yes.
So, for example, protection of children from harm, the operating schedule says staff will be trained with regard to their responsibilities. There'll be refresher training and training records available. That's in relation to protection of children from harm. Can't see that that's there in what was agreed with PC Rolf. Why is that?
This obviously was just an email that was put forward from PC Rolf with her conditions. I'm assuming in condition to what we'd already set out on the application. She would have received our application, reviewed that, and I'm assuming that it's the response back is that she'd like to point out the additional conditions that she'd like to see.
But CCTV isn't additional. It's there as something you offer.
Yeah.
Do you get my point? When it comes, if the license is granted, conditions will be put on it. What are those conditions that you have agreed to and are offering?
We've agreed to our conditions, and in addition to
Yeah.
the conditions put forward by PC Role.
The,
Would I be right in that? sir?
the operating schedule put forward is what's going to be implemented. CCTV would be happy to actually be a condition. It's not an issue.
But it won't be the wording in the operating schedule, it'll be the wording agreed with PC Rolf.
Well, irrespective of what PC Rolf has said, the CCTV system will be implemented.
It's not irrespective, is it? It's in
No.
accordance with.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, she does actually say about the CCTV systems, doesn't she? Look. Yes,
Yeah. The CCTV
Yeah.
already installed and maintained provide footage on number 1
yes.
under prevention of crime
So,
and disorder.
It's a condition. But we'll...
So, insofar as what is agreed with PC Rolf overlaps with something in the operating schedule, it supersedes that aspect. But otherwise, the operating schedule conditions are all still on offer.
Yes.
Right. Could I ask about the condition about only selling alcohol if pool tables are in place? In answer to an earlier question, you said that's the intention. But how would it be if there were a condition saying alcohol only to be sold as long as a minimum of 6 pool tables and 2 dartboards are available for use?
It wouldn't be... There wouldn't be a condition relating to those objects being in the space. What I mean by that is that, as we discussed earlier, it may be that the number of pool tables gets reduced and the number of darts lanes gets increased. Happy to actually see any wording around the license is provided, subject to there being pool tables or a certain minimum number in there, and then we come back with some variation if we wanted to actually change the number, but. It's not, this is a pool and darts leisure venue. It's not intended to be anything else.
But Anton, the licensing officer, pointed out future proofing and what might happen with the subsequent premises license holder.
Yeah.
So the question is whether you'd agree to a condition such as alcohol only to be sold as long as a minimum of 4 pool tables and 1 dartboard are available for use.
Yes. Well, if we could look at some kind of wording so that we've got a combination of them, it's not an issue. It's just that there may be some, as I said, it might be in the future might be more darts lanes than there are pool tables.
So
I'm not trying to be awkward here. I'm just trying.
The question is, what are you offering? What wording are you offering?
What?
More than 3 or more. There's no venue in Whitstable that has 3 or more pool tables, so it stands alone on its own merit.
Well, 3 pool tables and 2 darts lanes.
As has been pointed out by the licensing officer, that's probably easily susceptible of a minor variation.
Sorry, say again.
It's easily susceptible to a minor variation, which doesn't have to go before the committee.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry. We're happy to look at whatever wording you want to actually suggest.
No, it's you must suggest. You're making the application.
Right. Well, currently there are 8 pool tables and 2 darts lanes. So 6 pool tables and 2 darts lanes. So.
Right. And lastly, to move on to the yard, the use of the yard. On the page, which I referred to at the beginning about checking hours. It's page 27 in the published version, page 2 of the licensing officer's report. It says use of yard trading. This is an opening hours 10 to 10, Monday to Sunday inclusive. So is that a condition that the yard can only be used at those hours?
That's what we understood, yes.
So there's no smoking outside or use outside after 10. Nobody there.
The smoking can be outside after 10. It's the use for drinking and using the tables. Only smoking after 10. So,
Sorry. It will soon become clear because we have agreed some conditions to promote the prevention of public nuisance, and they all relate to the yard and how that's going to function. I just haven't covered that yet.
Where are those conditions?
well, they're not on this website document. We did point that out to the licensing department.
But the panel, the committee, the public are entitled to look at the reports and know what has been agreed. There can't be private documents on the side that other people haven't seen.
They're not private. They're not private. The document, it was pointed out, the document has not been updated with what was agreed between the licensing officer and Mr. Etherington.
Yes, should we allow the enforcement officer to make their representations, Mr. Key, or did you want to go further with that?
So when the licensing enforcement officer makes her representation, then I might come back on this to check what these other conditions are, because it's quite a job, if the license is granted, then to draft the decision letter and wonder what are the conditions. And that's why I've been asking these questions. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think it is important to get that clear so we all know the basis for the conditions.
Well, Mr. Etherington did contact the council to actually tell them that the document wasn't up to date.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm sure Susan Jennifer will clear that up for us. So this is your, just Mr. Warden would like to make another comment before we move on to that.
It is true that the applicant did contact the licensing authority. I telephoned him and explained that, as we've seen today, things keep moving all the time, that it would be appropriate, and you recall when I made my presentation at the beginning, it is for the applicant to update the committee and the meeting as to where we are with their application. And we have seen for ourselves how mixed up the representations have been. And as the legal officer said, it is not for the committee or the officers to put together the application. It is come to you. Everybody can clarify or ask questions, in particular Mr. Harvey. So we are quite clear as to what we're dealing with. And the last 20 minutes, the legal officer has just been trying to clarify, basically, anything not mentioned in PC Rolf's conditions can stay in the schedule. And this clarity has to come from the applicant, because they will be running the premises in accordance with what is decided upon if you grant a license. And I made it clear I couldn't discuss the application with the applicant when I telephoned him.
I think Mr. Etherington was under the impression that anything that he'd agreed or discussed with licensing members, perhaps wrongly, would automatically be updated by the council to the website.
No, because those conditions and discussions were in an email from the applicant. This has been agreed, but I hadn't at that time had the opportunity to speak to the licensing enforcement officer to make sure that was an agreement that had been met and there was no misunderstanding.
No,
I picked up there had been a change from an email Mr. Etherington had sent. not that there have been a meeting of minds between one of the parties and the applicant. And until that happens, it doesn't go on the report as a supplement. And that's why we always, at the beginning of every application, invite the applicant to bring everybody up to date, just in case the applicant has spoken to any of the other interested parties within the last 24 hours. So the committee deals with the latest position as it is when the meeting opens at 10:30. It is not for the licensing authority to put together the application from the representations made this morning.
Okay, so we know what we have on the table, unless Mr. Key wanted to add anything further to that, or you?
Could I see after Sue Geneva?
Yeah. So it's over to you, Sue Geneva, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sue Geneva. I'm a licensing enforcement officer with Canterbury City Council. Part of my role is to assess new applications. I try to get out to as many applications as I can. I think that visiting is really important. And of course, when the application for the Archers was submitted, I arranged a time and date to go out and visit the premises. Mr. Etherington is the proposed designated premises supervisor, really important role. He is also an LLP designated member, one of two, I believe. So a significant person who's going to have an impact on the premises if the license is granted. And when I visited, it allowed us to speak for a good 2.5 hours. I was there sort of quite some time, and I was able to have a look around very quickly. I identified that the yard was a concern for me, and I'm thinking in relation to the public nuisance objective. But we discussed many matters, including the application, the importance of the business to Mr. Etherington, how much he's invested, how family matters to him, and the role that family members might be playing at the club. And we also spoke about the importance of being a good neighbour, and it's something that comes up quite a lot, not just for new applications, but people that, existing licence holders who might want to make some changes. Never really overstate the importance of, being a good neighbour. And yes, you might be hoping to sort of slot into a location where there are other licensed premises nearby, but you've still got to be a good neighbour. And we spoke about that balance between wanting to encourage commercial enterprise and allow a business to thrive, but also that fundamental right to be able to rest in your home and not be disturbed. That is so important, and it can be a bit of a sort of a juggle, but I can't sort of say enough really about the importance of being a good neighbour. I thought the visit went quite well, but it was after the visit, and we were in that period where we were trying to agree conditions. I think it's fair to say, Mr. Etherington, that there was some discord between us. I think we had sort of slightly different thoughts on the best way to promote the 4 licensing objectives. And of course, that's at the heart of what we're discussing today, isn't it? The licensing objectives, they all are of equal importance. Okay, the police, we know PC Rolfe has had something to say, and she's proposed conditions. I'm very soon going to be speaking to you about public nuisance. It's probably a good time to mention that during my visit and when we were outside, in the yard, we had a little walk actually around the properties that are nearby. Some of them might not be occupied. Some of them might only be occupied occasionally. I think we discussed that some of the properties were Airbnb. But whether, you know, it's your permanent address or it's just somewhere that you're visiting, you know, for a couple of weeks, we still need to think about the best way to promote the public nuisance objective. And yes, it was my idea, which Mr. Etherington accepted, about showing, let's place some tables and chairs in the yard. Because when I looked at it, I was worried that it did have some potential to become a place for, I'm not just going to say men, it could be groups of young women as well, to stand there enjoying the sunshine. They're not quite ready or they've just finished a game, to stand out there drinking, and the impact that that could have on those sort of living and working nearby. So the plan was changed. So the plan that was submitted with the application referred to the outside area as being the yard. It's now been dubbed a seating area. I thought that was the right thing to do. Let's get some tables and chairs in there. I thought it would promote the objective. You should have in your pack the new plan. Whilst I'm talking about the plan, it's the word yard has gone. It now says seating area. You'll see tables and chairs. They are, at this moment in time, for illustrative purposes, because what I didn't do, I didn't ask Mr. Etherington to consider a condition whereby the furniture had to stay in situ. So yes, they could be moved, but at least they're on, you know, they're on the plan. One of the jukeboxes, the original plan, the application showed 2 jukeboxes, but Mr. Etherington said to me there was only going to be one, so we removed that from the plan. Otherwise, I think the plan has stayed pretty much the same. But I thought tables and chairs was the right way to go. Could I ask you, please, to go to page... One second. Whilst I move my screen, could we go to hours, please? Page 29. You're right there. Yeah, page 29. I just want to talk to you briefly about hours. So, you know that we have core hours, and the application pretty much fits within our core hours, except, and Mr. Etherington has already mentioned this, except the Sunday. Because for our core hours, on a Sunday, so these are the hours for when customers are permitted to be on the premises. On a Sunday, it's 12 noon. Now, as it stands, it's 10 o'clock. Mr. Etherington would like to open at 10. Remember, alcohol won't start till 11. But the gentleman wants to open at 10 because one of the thoughts is about offering, you know, soft drinks, tea, coffee, in the outside seating area. Our policy says 12 for a Sunday when customers are permitted to be on the premises, but do remember, just because it's outside of the core hours doesn't mean that you automatically refuse it, because what we then need to look at is page 30. And it says, applications for hours outside the core hours set out below in this policy will be considered on their merits. And again, that's something else that we can't emphasise enough, and that's about looking at each application on its merits. Of course, you're going to look at who's got what across the road or around the corner, what hours did they enjoy. But you've still got to go with what you've read today and what you've heard today. And what I wanted to emphasize is, where is it? Applications for hours outside the core hours set out below in this policy will be considered on their merits, subject to other policies, and with particular regard, to the following. And what's caught my eye, just looking at my notes, where are we? B, if you look at B, so page 30B, whether there is residential accommodation in the proximity of the premises that would be likely to be adversely affected by premises being open or carrying out operations at the hours proposed. So that's something to think about. And E, the hours when customers will be allowed to take food or drink outside the premises or be within open areas which form part of the premises. We do have an open area that forms part of the premises. You've heard about it. It's formerly the yard, but now that's seating area. And we're going to be seeking a cut-off time for 2200 hours for there. I'll come back to that. And then we've got F, the existing hours of licensable activities and the past operation of the premises, if any, and hours of licensable premises in the vicinity. So in my representation, I did touch on some planning consent going back to 2021. And the premises used to be a Moroccan restaurant. There was a consent was obtained to turn it into a tap room, but that never sort of materialised, and the consent expired. But you know, at least we know it used to be a restaurant. I don't know. We have one interested party here, but I don't know whether when it was a restaurant, which is a different style of operation altogether, it's where people go to eat, sit down and eat, whether or not that caused them any issues. But today, I suppose we just have to look at what is in front of us and what we're being asked to consider. The type of use, recognising that premises that sell alcohol, play music for dancing, provide fast food are more likely to be associated with crime and disorder and public nuisance than restaurants, which was its last use really, because the tap room never materialised. And it talks about, you know, cinemas, and interestingly, other performance venues or qualifying clubs. Remember, this isn't a qualifying club. This is it wants to have a premises license and operate a voluntary membership scheme. Conditions on hours. Oh no, sorry, J, the last one really. The licensing authority will take into account the active measures proposed for a winding down period, including arrangements for people to be collected from the premises to travel home safely. So initially when the application was lodged, the terminal hour for alcohol and the closing time was exactly the same. So that's how we came about shaving 30 minutes off the end time for alcohol. Mr. Key went through those hours and they're correct, but depending on which day of the week it is, alcohol either finishes at 2300 or 2330, with the premises closed by midnight at the weekend. So again, my point here was just to walk you through what our policy says and in your deliberations to have in mind that it is 12 noon. Mr. Etherington wants to open at 10. We did have discussions around 11 o'clock. But again, Mr. Etherington emphasised that he really wants to use that space for sort of teas and coffees, social, small gatherings. But alcohol won't start until 11. Indoor sporting events and recorded music, relying upon certain conditions being met, that they're not licensable activities. But alcohol is, and we've heard that Mr. Etherington agreed for alcohol to start at 11 rather than 10. So we lost an hour there, and then bedding in that all-important winding down, drinking up time, we shaved half an hour off, didn't we, for when alcohol can end. And then people have got half an hour to finish what they're doing and get away. I'm not really going to talk too much about the indoor sporting events or the recorded music because of deregulation, and if it's not a licensable activity, unless you have any questions for me later, I'm not really going to go into that too much. In my representation, you'll see that there were 3 conditions that we just could not agree on. They are withdrawn. I do have concerns about it being a voluntary scheme for the reasons you heard from me before, but I have to work with what is within my grasp and what I can do and what I can try to achieve to protect residential immunity. I've read the membership rules over and over again. It's not the exact figure, but there's about 10 may do this, may do that, and that does still bother me. But Mr. Etherington has pledged that there is going to be this scheme, and I can't enforce it. I think really that just leaves the outside area and what's been agreed. I think it's my fault. There has been a lot of toing and froing, as we've called it, between myself and the applicant. There has been some discord. We were chivying away at things right up to the last day or so. It didn't help that I was away from the office, but I was still logging in and checking messages. And we have agreed 5 conditions. Now, what I did update my representation with those conditions. But it didn't find its way to the pack. So that's why Mr. Key and Mr. Walden, and indeed you can't see the 5 conditions. So I guess I can read them out to you, but they are all centred, aren't they, around the outside seating area, to try and promote the prevention of public nuisance, so that people can enjoy their homes.
Yeah, I think in the circumstances it would be helpful if you were to read those out, because there's obviously a misunderstanding that we haven't got those in the paperwork, and that may be helpful. Thank you.
Are you happy for me to read them?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so at 2200 hours, the consumption of alcohol and any other drinks, hot or cold, shall cease in the outside area marked as outside seating area and designated smoking area on the accompanying plan. Appropriate notices shall be displayed. That's number 1. Number 2, the use of the designated smoking area may continue after 2200 hours, strictly for smoking only. Got that in there so there's no confusion. CCTV, this is number 3. CCTV shall cover the outside area marked as outside seating area on the accompanying plan. To make it clear that I would like CCTV to cover that area. Number 4, staff shall be responsible for regularly checking and removing from the outside seating area any finished or no longer in use glassware. From 2200 hours to 1000 hours, so 10 o'clock the next day, any tables and chairs in the outside seating area shall be labelled out of service, do not use. So bearing in mind I was the one that introduced the concept of having tables and chairs out there, Mr. Edmonton then explained to me that he had nowhere to put the said furniture at 10 o'clock. So we had some discussions about whether it would be possible to just render that furniture unusable. But this was the one that we settled on. I won't talk too much about what I was going to pursue about the membership scheme. But what I would say is that I've heard several times, and we've heard it several times today, that this is a sporting leisure venue and that alcohol is going to be secondary to the activity of, pools and darts. I wanted to have that as a condition, but wasn't successful in pursuing that one either. And to try and move the application along, we've got those 5 conditions relating to public nuisance, and we've got a revised plan. I think that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Got any questions from the panel? Yeah, I don't think there's any questions from us now. It's the opportunity for the applicant, Mr. Wakeham, to ask any questions of the enforcement officer as well.
I think the only issue that's arisen today is the business of the gate and how we might deal with that. Is that something that's
It's not with that condition. So no. No.
Sorry, are you thinking about sort of a condition in relation to the gate?
no a solution to the problem that I think it was Anton raised earlier?
Yeah, I'm not sure that's relevant to the proposals from Sula. So we have a chance to summarise at the end. Councillor Harvey, I'd like to ask a question.
Just a thought on what you just said about that gate. Could there not be a gate that's only open from the inside out, so people couldn't come in?
It's if it's feasible, it could be implemented. Yes,
Along with signage.
along with some signage. No entry.
Yeah, sounds like a good solution. Now have an opportunity for anybody else to ask questions of the enforcement officer. Mr. Warden, do you have any further comments or questions on that?
Just one thing to basically reassure the licensing officer that it is normal for tables to be the solution in these matters. So the enforcement officer was quite right to look at that as a solution with the applicant.
Thank you for that. Mr. Key? Councillor Stockley, one more thing, please.
Yes, just occurred to me, thinking about these tables and chairs, lovely solution. How would that work with the fire exit? Because everyone will have to negotiate tables and chairs to get out and get through the gate.
Good question, good thought. I mean, I didn't get as far as discussing with Mr. Etherington how many. I just assumed that they wouldn't be placed in any way that might make a safe exit more difficult. I don't know how many that they're going to be.
I think Mr. Etherington's just assured me that there can be a clear passage. There's enough space to accommodate a clear passage towards that gate without any tables and chairs interfering.
Okay, thank you. We don't have any more other people to speak, so it's now your opportunity, Mr. Etherington and Mr. Wakeham, just to summarise, or if you want to add anything to clarify on your application.
No, I think everything's been discussed today. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Right, this is now the time when we retire to consider the application. I think half an hour. Yeah, I think we'll retire for 30 minutes. So if we'll meet back in here at 1:45, you're welcome to wander outside, get some fresh air, and then we'll see you back in here.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Okay, it's confirmed that we're live streaming again, so we're back in session. Thanks, everybody. We've listened to what everybody's had to say today, from the applicant, the authority, the enforcement officer, and the other people who've spoken. Look very carefully at the application and the objections that were raised in there, which mostly concerned the worries of nuisance to the neighbours and the residential occupiers there. We're happy to grant this application subject to the conditions that we've discussed already, which I think you're happy with. Peter will go through those now in more detail, just to confirm that you're happy with those, and we'll explain the process.
It's,
from there.
there were two conditions which hadn't been fully discussed. So it's just before announcing the formal part. One is that the tables in the outside smoking area should at no time be in a position where they could obstruct a safe exit route for fire escape, and this is to be monitored regularly during the opening hours. Is that acceptable? And then the other is that no licensable activity may commence, so you can't start selling alcohol at all, before CCTV cameras and monitors are in place and confirmed in writing to be so to the satisfaction of a Canterbury City Council licensing officer. And is that acceptable? Yeah, thank you. So, Chair, I could go on to go through the decision.
Yes, please. Okay.
So this is an application under Section 17 of the Licensing Act 2003 by the Arches Club LLP. The club application was made by Mr. Anthony Etherington, who has appeared here today with his representative, Mr. Wakeham. There was a site visit at 09:30 this morning, attended by the members of the LSC, the licensing officer, Mr. Walden, myself, and Mr. Etherington. The hearing commenced at 10:30. The licensing committee has had before it the agenda pack, which was published online, which contains the licensing officer's report, the application, and it contains representations from responsible authorities, that's to say the police, and from Canterbury City Council wearing its special hat as a responsible authority, which is a separate role for CCC. There were also in the pack representations by other persons. There were 5 sets from Brian Underhill, John Harvey, Linda Fairbairn, Nikki and Rav Davis, and Stuart Orton. Mr. Harvey attended for part of the hearing and asked questions at one stage. The applicant's corporate entity has the word club in its name, and there are membership rules, but it should be pointed out this is not a qualifying club within Part 4 of the Act. So it is a premises licence application. The application is in respect of indoor sporting events, the provision of recorded music, and the supply of alcohol. The licensing subcommittee has taken account of the written documents published online, supplemented by the licensing officer, Sue Geneva's conditions agreed regarding the outside smoking area. It's taken account of all the documents, the site visit, all representations made today by and on behalf of the applicant, the oral representations of the Canterbury City Council Licensing Enforcement Officer. It's taken account of the Licensing Act 2003, the hearings regulations, the guidance under Section 182, its own policy, which has been referred to at various times, including as to core hours, the Crime and Disorder Act, Section 17, as it's required to, and the Equality Act, particularly the Public Sector Equality Duty. The result is that the licensing subcommittee is content to grant the licence for the hours applied for, noting that the Sunday starting time is slightly earlier than the policy, but that is nevertheless granted. the conditions that apply to the licence are those set out in the operating schedule, save that where PC Danny Rolf's conditions, which were specially agreed and appear in the pack, overlap, then PC Danny Rolf's licensing agreed conditions supersede and take precedence and replace. But otherwise, other conditions, for example, about removal of refuse, are part of the license granted. In addition, the conditions regarding the outside seating area or outside designated smoking area, which the licensing enforcement officer of CCC, Sue Geneva, has read out. I can read them out again if anyone's in any doubt, but I think they were clearly read out, and they will be part of the written decision. In addition, there are 3 further conditions or variations on conditions. One is the one relating to CCTV, which I mentioned, for which cameras and monitors have to be in place to the satisfaction in writing given in writing by a Canterbury City Council licensing officer before any licensable activity can commence at all. Next, regarding the positioning of the outside tables, I mentioned that a short while ago, that they should not be in any way obstructing the safe fire escape route, and then and that's to be monitored. And then a condition that alcohol is only to be served or sold as long as a minimum of 3 pool tables and 1 darts lane are available and capable of being used. Those then are the conditions. There will be a decision letter which I will draft out today or tomorrow, which will be checked by the panel chair and panel, and I need to issue within 5 days of today. There is a right of appeal which you need to be advised as to, and that's the right under section 181 of and Schedule 5.2, the Licensing Act 2003. There's a strict 21-day period. If you want to appeal, it's to the Magistrates' Court. If you're over 21 days, it's too late and it's unextendable. And it would be safest to consider that 21-day period as starting from today. And although the license has been granted, you might say, why appeal? It would be, for example, if you were objecting to any of the conditions. But those conditions have been rehearsed here with you. So with that advice about the appeal rights, that concludes my account of the decision.
Thank you very much for clarifying all that, Mr. Key. Move on to agenda item 7 is any other urgent business, which I don't think we have anything. 8 is there's nothing that we need to exclude the press and public for. And item 9, there's no other urgent business which falls under the exempt provisions of the Local Government Act 1972 or the Freedom of Information Act 2000 or both. So I'd like to thank all of you for attending and for your contribution to this. It's much appreciated, and that we've done the right thing in meeting the requirements of the Licensing Act, and wish you the best of luck with your venture. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you very much for your time, ladies and gentlemen.
Meeting's closed. 12:55. Thank you.